Okay, guys. So, I mean, this is a virtual thing, so it's a bit weird to gauge how many people are still coming in. We can't exactly like close the door and say, oh, you're late. But so I think we can just get started, make the best of our 1 hour together on this Wednesday evening. So, first of all, to everyone here, thank you for joining us. I'm not sure what you're up to today, but with circuit breaker kind of ending, there you could have been outside, so thank you so much for joining us and supporting us. This is the first time we're running these workshops, when we hope to get some feedback from you guys afterwards to see how we can do better. And obviously, if you want to play a more active role, like, feel free to reach out to some of us. So I just want to check, everyone can hear me so far, but can you all see the screen? Okay, most people, yes, yes, yes. All right. So, thank you for joining us today. The session that we're covering is basically how to equip yourself for the job hunt. We do have people who've been graduated for a while. So, later on, we'll see what stage you're at right now, and then address some of the questions that you've sent in before this. But before we get started on that, I have questions for everyone. Now, feel free to type it down there. But today, we want to know what your current Netflix binge is. Netflix, Amazon Video. Put your recommendations down below, and then maybe we can get a watch party started. I don't know. Or YouTube channels, I guess. I spend a lot of time on YouTube more than Netflix. I've been watching, recipe videos, Shira, and Princesses of Power.
Series is Chef's Kiss. It's very good.
Community! I finished Community early this year. I loved it. I cried at the end. I cried a lot. Ooh, Running Man. Never ending series there.
Yeah.
The Witcher.
Hell yeah.
Oh, the game.
Watching or playing?
Because I don't think the show lasts for 120 hours. So
Big Bang Theory. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe Big Bang Theory is still going. Is it?
No, it's done, I think. I think they had their last season done and dusted.
The Office. I love this chat so far. Everyone's watching such like non-current shows. Nostalgic. I've been watching this anime. It's called Gintama, and this is like my second or third anime in my life. Would not recommend because it really sucks you in with like not much of a plot. Anyone else want to give their inputs? Nguyen, did you watch The Witcher as well? Good Doctor.
Yeah, I did.
You did. Did you like the game
No,
more?
it's good. It's the game actually.
Oh.
Yeah, game, yeah. The Witcher 3, the one that you played in 120 hours, the game, yeah.
Doctor Who, one of my faves.
Yeah, Doctor Who's good stuff.
Nice. All right, so I think quarantine made a lot of us spend a lot of time on Netflix. Thank you, everyone, for your recommendations. I hope everyone checks out each other's shows. And for anyone joining in later, they'll think we're on a completely different session, but that's fine. All right. So now that that's out of the way, thank you guys for sharing. I would like to just briefly introduce you guys to us. Having organized this, you see most of us with our videos on are part of the Exco. And for the others who have their videos on, you guys are super brave. So yeah, we've started these workshops. And basically, we thought we'd like to support the icon community even after they've come out of SMU. We are a very close community, close family. While we were all undergrads, and we wanted to bring that out into the world. But while it's all fun and food, like you saw in the picture earlier, we had a buffet, we had a party. I think we really want to contribute back in your growth, coach you guys, and give you support, whatever support we can get, either from ourselves or from the extended community. And so we'll be touching on a couple different topics today, as well as over the next few weeks. So our workshops are actually running straight through to August and late August, early September, and we're covering quite a few different things. So today we're starting with the first challenge you might face as you graduate, and that's finding a job. Or even if you've graduated for a while, maybe after the first 1-2 years, you're looking for another job. So how do you go about doing that, especially now? One other thing is finding employment passes, negotiating your contracts. that becomes suddenly a very real adult thing that you have to deal with after school. And of course, I hope you all loved your time at SMU. But work life is quite different. You know, some of you might be going into bigger companies, some into smaller companies, and there's a lot of challenges that we face along the way. So we want to give you some tips or share some stories on how we all transitioned from university to the work life. And once you're at work, you might not always have an icon fam. So we wanted to see how we could help you guys find a new family, build good relationships with your colleagues. You might not be, the best of friends, but at least you can reach out to some people at work and build a strong support system there. Now that you're at work, life gets really tough. And you're a fresh grad, they'll throw you everything they can in the pretense of learning experience. But how do you find balance with all of that? We're used to doing 5 mods at SMU, but is that the same workload when you're working versus when you were in school? And lastly, at this point, maybe you've had a job for 1 month, 2 months, 1 year, 2 years. What do you do with all that money you made? Make some good financial decisions there. Not a good example. I'm not running that session. So putting some faces to the names, we have Haja over there. We don't really have roles, so we're just introducing ourselves. There's Haja.
Yep,
We
yep.
have Paul with his Dorito background.
Thank you.
We have Alice over there. Hey, myself, Anna. And we have Ada over there in the friends living room.
Hi.
And Essa back at SMU in the bright sunshine. So the 6 of us came together to run some of these events. We cover things like mentorship, the fun events, thinking of hosting a couple game nights. So if you're interested in finding out more about the initiatives that we're putting together, you want to run some of them with us, see how you can contribute back to the community, just feel free to ping any of us. You'll get our contact details later at the end. So drum roll. No, okay. Clapping. We'd like to introduce today our guest speaker and one of our core mentor group leaders, Jeslyn. So Jeslyn, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, okay. So hi everyone, thanks for joining. Hope you guys got a good group here going, find a mentor, someone you can reach out to in terms of, work needs or life needs or whatever. It's a good support system like I had as well when I was in Icon. So yeah, always a pleasure to always join the events and see the familiar faces. So hope you guys will do as well. So just briefly, I graduated from SMU from social sciences in 2017. So my major is in sociology and human resource. So I graduated in 2017. So that's been some time, about 2 to 3 years. My first job, I was in the oil and gas industry, working as a campus recruiting specialist as well, and now currently in JP Morgan in the financial industry, recruiting for asset and wealth management students, interns, full-timers. So yeah, that's what I do. Just to give you maybe like a quick fun fact. So at one point in time, my home had 6 chickens, 2 dogs, a tortoise, and 2 cats. So practically I'm running a farm as my second job, but unfortunately, the chickens died. The 2 cats moved away, so I'm left with 2 dogs and a turtle. So yeah, that's a fun fact.
I'm sorry, the cats moved away.
So the cats actually belong to my boyfriend, so they live in his house now. But at one point in time, my house did have all these animals at the same time.
Wow. I'm surprised the cats didn't get rid of your chickens. Or is that why they're dead? All right. Thank you, Justin, for your introduction. So I think we'll start. Well, basically, what we're starting today with is a bit of a get to know and sharing from Jeslyn. Since she is campus recruitment, I think when we were all undergrads, we always wanted to speak to people like her. So she'd have a lot of input on, how to stand out from the job, application point of view. But before we dive into that, I think we just like to run a quick poll with everyone. You should see a poll pop up on your screen very shortly. And yeah, we'd just like to see some of your some of the answers to to the questions right now. Again, there's no music, so I will just hum. No, I'm kidding. I shall just talk over this as we get the poll results. I think almost everyone has submitted their answers. My biggest fear facing my job search was not being good enough, because I was like, I don't have experience. And then every job is like, I need 3 years of experience. I'm like, where am I supposed to get that 3 years of internships while studying? Okay, so some of the results are coming in. 90% of people have voted. I'm not sure if we can get all 100%. Okay, so just a quick update of where we are right now. We have almost half of you still looking for a job or just starting to look for a job. To be honest, guys, I started working in August, the year I graduated. I just chilling for like 2 months. So it's perfectly fine to be looking for a job right now. About 20% are full-time employed, and the rest of you are on internships. That's interesting. And biggest fears. So we do have people afraid of their competition with their peers. I think we can touch on that later in the Q&A. Definitely COVID-19 has been a big worry. And self-confidence, which is a little bit like me. That's reassuring. Don't worry, you're not the only one. And all of the above. I think if I were in your position at this point, definitely I would take all of the above as well. It's always hard jumping into something unknown. But I think hopefully what we can give you today is a bit of like a mental framework to take with you as you continue looking for your jobs, or maybe at some point consider switching jobs if you're already working. So thank you everyone for taking part. So I think maybe Jeslyn, we can start with a bit of a sharing from your point of view as a recruiter, in your experience. I think we talked a little bit before the session about mindset, right? Which is what we see on the screen. Maybe talk us through what you mean by this.
Yeah. I think just from the poll, I see some people indicating like self-confidence as one of the key factors, one of the challenges that you face. I think I want to share this experience with you guys as well. And I share your sentiments because when I graduated in 2017, it took me quite some time to look for a job. I know the stress. So a lot of my friends are high flyers in SMU. They come from business school. A lot of them get employment, full-time employment before they graduate. So it was quite stressful. Even before I graduated in December time, I was already starting to look for jobs, applied so many places. I unfortunately didn't get like a place before employment. So took a little break, started with my family business for a while, only secured full-time employment in September, which was quite some time actually. So just want to say, don't feel afraid that you're in a similar position. Like if you don't get a job immediately, that's fine. Take your time, look for the right place, a company that aligns with your career goals and your values. It's okay. So yes, just going back to the question, how you can differentiate yourself in the job market. So I think it's really about capitalizing on what you have experiences, your strengths, what interests you. So talking about things like, what you've done for your past internships, right? Narrowing it down to what exactly you're interested in, what you like to do in terms of your job. What kind of unique experiences do you have and what are you looking for? So for example, let's say you want to look for a company that look for a company or a job that allows you to travel. So maybe look for companies that have multiple overseas branches that will allow you to regularly travel, or maybe some project-based companies that will allow you to travel to clients, places, even in Malaysia or Indonesia, things like that. So I've heard of friends who regularly travel for work in project-based firms. So look for the things that you're interested in and how you can see how you can add value. So some of you have international exposure in terms of say internship experiences overseas, or you come from even elsewhere outside of Singapore. So that can be very valuable when it comes to a company. So for example, because I used to intern at FNN, but I don't know if you know this, but FNN was bought over by Thai Bev. So it's Thai Bev is quite a big beverage company in Thailand. So for example, if you want to work for a Thai company. So these kind of local companies are good companies that you can work for, because the chances of you working in Thailand or getting opportunity to travel to Thailand or working with Thai colleagues are pretty high. So I would say look for companies that have affiliations to overseas branches, or have such relations. So yeah, do a lot of research on companies that you're interested in. Most importantly, I think look for companies who have values that aligns with yours. So for example, when I work for JP Morgan, I really like how they are so big on diversity. They take in people of different backgrounds, even for businesses that are business focused, like asset and wealth management or like investment banking. They really do take in students who come from hospitality or like chemistry. It's really a wide range. So that's what I admire about the company. The diversity. But of course, this is not a session to talk about JP Morgan, right? So so the company background can also present you with an advantage, like I mentioned earlier, right? So for example, if you're looking for a company that is, if you are Thai or you are Indonesian, looking for a company in Singapore that is originally started up in Indonesia or Thailand or whatever that is located here in Singapore can give you a greater advantage as well, because you can liaise with the headquarters in the country or this particular region, and that will be quite useful. So yeah, putting yourself in the correct mindset is very important. Don't be afraid to apply. I think one major setback I had when applying for jobs as well is that I always thought I wasn't good enough. So coming from a non-business background, even though I'm in HR, right? Coming from a non-business background, it was always intimidating to apply for the finance industries, the tech industries. So what did I do? I just didn't apply. So it's not that, on hindsight, right? It's not that I wasn't good enough. It's just I didn't have the confidence to actually apply and think that I would make it to these companies as with my other peers who come from business background. So it doesn't matter where you come from, essentially. A lot of companies are just looking for good talents. So don't be afraid to apply. That's my takeaway.
I think to echo that, or rather to present a way out, I know, guys, this is really weird because it's virtual. None of the exco can come around and shake your hand or give you a hug and introduce ourselves. But I think what we want to let you guys know was that the exco and our network, like some of us have graduated a bit longer than others, and we're all here for you. So if any of us like end up working in the companies or industries that you're interested in, like our lines are open, and you can reach out to us. We've all been there. We've all had our resumes looked at, so we kind of know what works, what doesn't, and we're here for you to kind of help shape your experiences. I think one thing I learned while applying for a job was that I felt like I didn't do that much in SMU sometimes. And it was only through applying to the jobs or talking to my seniors or getting some help that I realized, like, hey, actually, that one event you did, you helped a small team, or maybe you ran you joined a camp. Even that shows some kind of interest, some kind of passion that, if worded the right way, does set you apart from other people. And I think SMU presented us, okay, there's not a pitch about SMU, we're already there, but SMU did present us with a lot of opportunities. Even the way the classes are run could come to your advantage because of all the group projects and things. And it's just all about framing it. And there are some employers that do like SMU. I personally work at a company that's expanding into my home market. And that was one easy way for me to get in as well. I knew that they were going there. They needed someone who spoke the local language. So that was a bit easier. So thank you, Jocelyn, I think, for presenting it that way. But I think, confidence is something that we need time to build up on, right? But maybe there are some more logical ways to come up with what jobs to apply for. And I think we spoke about this as well, that there are some key factors that you need to look at when you're picking roles for yourself.
Yeah. So when you pick roles, of course, set yourself up for success, right? Like If, for example, I'm not too sure about other areas of business, but for example, if I'm looking at just HR, for example, because I come from HR background, right? So HR itself has many functions, right? From recruitment to operations to payroll, etc. So if you're looking for a certain role that is very niche or very specialized, then frame your CV in a way, to go towards that direction. I think most of you would know as well, SME has trained us really well to actually craft your CV. But yeah, be specific in what you're looking for and look for the roles and job natures that will fit well with whatever angle that you're going with. So for example, previously when I was applying for a job after my first role, whichever role that I applied to, I made sure I crafted a CV that was specially for it. So just to give you a little bit of background, in my first role, it was an oil and gas firm. We recruited for engineers. There I was a campus recruitment specialist, but on top of that, I also took on more responsibilities, going to different areas of HR to assist my team, just to act as a cover, when they go on leave, etc. So I learned a bit about payroll, learned a bit about the visas application, learned a bit about operations and such. So after my first role, that opportunity gave me more, opened more doors for me in a sense where I could apply for jobs not only with regards to recruiting, I could also go into operations or payroll, etc., different roles. So whichever roles I applied for, I made sure I followed the job description really carefully, picking out what I did, what I didn't do in my role, and just left out everything else so that you'll be very specific. And I think a lot of companies, when recruiters screen the CVs or they put it through a system, it picks out keywords. So having your CV really crafted specifically for the role is important, so that your profile will fit exactly what the companies are looking for. And with regards to how you add value to a team, I think you always need to think about how you can bring value to a company, which is the whole reason why they want to hire you, right? So I think as a fresh grad, or even if you're applying for internships, everyone starts off at a similar footing or similar
Yes,
level.
remember that. Yeah.
Everybody has a good GPA. Everybody has, maybe not me, but I think a lot of people have pretty good GPAs comparing to mine. But everybody starts off similar. You have a CCA, we went on exchange, you took this mod, class part, you get an A for projects. Everybody starts off similar. It's how you differentiate yourself, how you take part in events, how you involve yourselves in outside of school curriculum. So it's all about your presentation towards a potential employee. And it's all about adaptability, your versatility, how you can learn, how you can take up extra tasks to help the team, etc. So these will really show up in interviews or your CV when you do or engage in such extracurriculars.
Jess, one thing you mentioned earlier was that you took on a lot of different extra roles. And I think sometimes when we're looking at jobs, we think we need to perform one specific function, or we don't really look at what the job can offer us as well. Because here we are trying to sell ourselves. But I think sometimes when we look for jobs, I remember speaking about this before, that you need to look for what the job can bring you as well. You started off at a small company. What kind of experience did that give you?
Yeah, so starting off at a small company, actually that gave me, that was very advantageous. So I started off with not being able to find a job, and then chancing upon this by chance, I accepted a lower salary compared to my peers. So I wasn't paid very well, but I think that job itself, it's about spotting like a raw gem, like a raw diamond in the making. So identify the company that could possibly give you more opportunities. So when I went into the company, I felt that, the company is actually quite small. The function itself is pretty small. I could see areas that I could potentially learn more. So that's where I volunteered to say, hey, to my manager, right? To say, hey, is there a possibility where I can, maybe shadow my colleague and see whether I can get my hand and try this or try that. So eventually, I learned little by little, and my boss felt, it was good because I could cover for my colleagues when they were on leave. There were no lapses in terms of the job done. I could cover for pretty much everybody because I knew what everybody was doing. So that made me a valuable team member, and that I think that was important in the job switch later on, because I learned pretty much everything, and I could understand how things work back end, and that allowed me to adapt better to the new firm, because basically everything's the same. It's just a different function, different system that you're using. So I think the key here is really about learning. Like, don't be afraid to learn more if you can, absorb more, because you're like a sponge, right? Straight from school, you're fresh, you might not know anything about the new role or maybe even a new job that you're interested in. So if you don't really know what to go into, you know, if you go into business development, if you go into operations, there's always loads to learn. You don't have to like always stick to something that you thought you want to do.
Yeah.
You can try something new. But
I think
yeah.
I think 2 years. I mean, I'm out of school for the last 2 years, and getting to this point, I realized not everyone started off in a big name firm. I also didn't start off in a big name firm, and it's okay. You end up finding your path, learning more about what you like and what you don't like, and that's just the point of life, I guess, right? Like just learning about yourself, about the world, about all the different jobs that you could possibly do, and then hopefully finding your ikigai along the way. Yeah, I think the difference, though, I think, Jess, is that you kind of knew you always wanted to go into HR. So even though you were in social sciences, you already took the HR major and kind of went towards that role. That was your first job. But I think one thing a lot of people at our age back then didn't know is what they didn't even want to try. So they didn't know what they like, what they didn't like, and how to go about learning that. So I think we talked about using social media, right, to get all this knowledge, get the contacts that you need.
Yeah, I would say LinkedIn is a really, really good tool. I don't know how many of you have done this, but there is actually a 30-day free trial on LinkedIn, the premium trial. How many of you have tried it? Like, have you guys clicked that and actually tried that 30-day free trial? Because I swear it works. So during my peak of my job application, at a point where I applied for so many roles, especially at the time where I switched jobs from my first job to my second job, I actually tried the 30-day premium. And to be honest, in that 30-day free trial period, I actually got a lot of emails from recruiters, which worked to my advantage because I didn't end up applying for that many roles. I just applied for like a few, like 5, and I got like interviews and callbacks. So I think that really gave me visibility on my profile in LinkedIn, which worked to my advantage. Yeah, so try that if you're in the midst of job applications and you really want to boost in your profile. I think the free trial really works, so try it. So that's a tip. And then talking about LinkedIn, I think LinkedIn is a tool that a lot of recruiters use to source candidates. And I think Alice, who is a technical recruiter, can also add on or chime in. But in LinkedIn, when recruiters do a search, they actually do a lot of filters, like people who have liked the company, people who follow the company, certain keywords in your LinkedIn profile. So that will stand out and that will appear in our searches more often. So more often than not, we realize that students or candidates who actually follow or like a company will appear more often than not in our searches. So if you really like a certain company or certain industry, do follow these companies. So for example, if you're into tech or into finance, go like all the big banks or the firms that you're interested in, like JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, just follow all of them, like them, keep updated and abreast with like recent news so that you can always be on top of it. So so that comes up in LinkedIn quite a bit when recruiters search for that, and also try to connect with alumni, like by Icon or by seniors, CCAs and stuff. Connect with your alumni working at these companies. I think referrals are always the biggest way, or the best ways for you to get a foot into the company, because they will stand for you. Your referrals will actually vouch for your work ethics, your personality, etc. And I think they can be great sources to how you can enter a company. So try that.
Yeah, I think when I was working, like a lot of my juniors also reached out to me just to find out more about my role. So I'm in sales or business development, however you want to call it. So the moment they search on LinkedIn for business development, I'd come up, right? And even though we weren't very close, I think a lot of SMU seniors have always been very encouraging. Even when I was reaching out as well as a fresh grad, I didn't understand why they were so helpful. But now that I'm in that position, I'm like, oh yeah, this is the best procrastination, and I feel like I'm helping. And at 2 years down the line, you started your job search not having confidence in your skills, but 2 years later, you're like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I got this.
Yeah.
Not with everything, but for most things.
I think people are quite willing to help as long as you ask. Don't be afraid to ask and just say hi, or like, and I think Anna, we mentioned this offline as well. Don't be afraid to just put in like a personalized note to your LinkedIn contact. just to say hi, introduce yourself.
That's true.
Let them know what you were looking for, what you want. I have had some juniors who came to me for like CV reviews and all that, so I have helped them as well. So I think everyone is more than willing to help because we have all been in that situation, right? Looking for a job, having difficulties. So yeah, don't be afraid.
Yeah, I'm a salesperson, so I spend all my time on LinkedIn. And generating clout with like posting and everything is fantastic. But what I realize is that when you're in sales or any other like professional role, it's really hard to get connection requests. But when you come in as like, hi, I'm a student or a fresh graduate, and I just want to learn more about your role or just want to learn more about your company. I saw that you do this, or I saw that you have this value. What does that mean? So just showing curiosity, but also tacking on the fact that you're not trying to sell them anything. You're not trying to find them for a partnership. It does wonders. So I really wish, I mean, now when I'm trying to make my sales, I wish I could still leverage the fact that I was a student, because then all my contacts would come in. But oh well. So I think for a lot of you guys, you know, you're still a bit young or you're an intern, you're not a threat to them and they're more likely to connect with you. So I think coming from a LinkedIn activist, I would highly recommend connecting and leveraging that fact with them. So we're running a little, you know, right about end of time. So I'd like to see if, yeah, we can address the Q&A later when we come back. I think we'll be breaking out right now into a couple of breakout rooms because I know there's quite a few of you and everyone's so shy right now. We want to make sure that you get a bit of one-on-one, 5-to-1 time with us to kind of ask a few more questions, and we'll guide you a little bit more in depth. We'll learn a little bit more about you, and then see how we can help guide you along whichever stage you're at. And when we'll meet back in this room to go through, I guess, some of our top learnings, answer some of your burning questions from before, from the form that we sent out, and then close off the night. So Alice, I believe, is taking charge, and I will see you all back here real soon. All right, guys. So in the interest of time, I don't want to keep on anyone further. I hope we all learned something from our mentors, if not gotten to know some of the alumni, your fellow alumni or more senior alumni in the room. And basically what we'd like is for everyone to join our mentorship program Telegram group. That's one. I forgot to put the link in here. So if someone could kindly copy the link in the description below, no, in the chat box, that would be really helpful. Yeah, our next session is in 2 weeks, around the same time. And we'll be covering, I guess, more serious things. Not that finding a job isn't serious, but when you're looking for a job, there's some concerns, especially as an international student. How do you negotiate your salary? Alice has one horror story around that. You know, what to look for when you sign a contract generically, but as well as when you're an international person. In Singapore, there's some key things to look out for. And there's different work passes that we are all eligible for, and which ones you should be gunning for. So if you have, you know, some of your international friends, I think this session could be super useful for them as well, just because it's more of like a one-on-one and resources that you need to look out for. You'll be talking to us, seniors who have gone through this and probably made some mistakes along the way. So we just want to make sure that you guys don't go through that as well. Our guest speakers is Alice right here. She's right now doing recruitment for Facebook, but she has one fantastic horror story about her salary. So don't miss out on that. And we've also got Isha who will be joining us. And she took, I think, well, from May to September, so maybe 5 months almost to find a job, and that was like really at the end of her like student pass thing, so it's really really stressful. And basically she has a lot of tips on like what to look out for as well when you're looking for your visas and work pass. So yeah, we hope to see most of you back again. I don't know if the Singaporeans want to join back in, but do recommend the session to your friends, and you know, look out in your emails as well. Last thing, we are a fun bunch of people. So outside of this mentorship thing, we do a bunch of other things, and we'd like to keep you guys in the loop. So if you scan those two, I think the left one is actually Telegram and the right one is Facebook. I'm not really sure. Both will pop up. We'd love for you guys to join us. And then, obviously you can search through the members there and find which mentor you like the most, which is me. And then reach out to me and everyone. Oh, my name's right there. So yeah. With that, if anyone has anything else they'd like to say, you can unmute for that one last hurrah. No?
Good job, Jess and Anna.
Oh, thank you,
Yay.
Essa.
Hold
Pat
for
on the back
applause.
for
Yeah.
myself. Applause and everything.
Oh,
But thank
thank
you. Thank you
Awesome.
everyone for joining us. Staying through all our technical difficulties. We super appreciate you guys being our first guinea pigs, and we hope you can come back. There'll be a feedback form right here, so I hope you guys all got this. But let me go over to feedback form, which we can also paste the link into in the description. And if you guys could leave your feedback, that'll be super helpful to help us plan out any of the other activities that are coming up. And with that, thank you, Jesslyn, for leading most of the session. And thank you to our mentors and the Exco for the breakout rooms. Hope you made some good friends with them, guys. Hope they were nice to you. If not, let me know. And we hope to see you back here in 2 weeks, if not sooner, if you reach out to us.